Brian Scalabrine, the White Mamba, Celtics analyst, NBC Sports Boston, and was on that championship team in 2008. If I would have told you after Game 3 you were getting to Game 7, you would have said what?
Dan, I believe you because this team is so up and down, the Celtic basketball team. Now, something happened this season where I got to the point where I just stopped guessing and I just say, well, they're going to have to show me what they're going to do today, because I just ran out of the patience of trying to say, like, all right, well, they figured it out. Now they can build upon that. I really believe like this, the highs and lows of this team is unlike anything I've ever seen before.
All right. When did you know you were in trouble last night?
Probably after Derek White made that run in the third. And I think Miami, speaking of Caleb Martin, he made two really timely shots. And I'm saying, we're not going to win this game. I maybe got a glimmer of hope at the start of the fourth quarter when they ran a great play out of the quarter and Tatum got a wide open layup and missed. And then they came down and hit a three. At that point, I knew we were in trouble. What's the biggest question heading into the offseason? Probably Jaylen Brown. And, will they offer him a supermax contract? I'm sure he'll sign it if they offer it to him. Last night, Tim Bontemps asked a great question about Jaylen Brown's future. And Jaylen, that's where you give like the standard answer. I'm not really thinking about it right now. I don't know what the future holds, or I love this team. We've been so accomplished. He didn't give an answer that you would think. And he didn't say no. He said, I'm trying to process all this, but I wonder what's going to go on. There's been all these talks in the past about those two guys. Then they're good. Then when things are going bad, they're not good. When things are going good, they're good. So I wonder where all that lies. And I think it'll come right around July. But they don't complement each other. Normally, when you have two All-Stars there, James Harden can complement Joel Embiid, or Clay complements Steph. It feels like a Joker and Jamal Murray. These two players are very similar. Would you keep Jaylen Brown? Well, Dan, there's a lot of truth to what you're saying, but also, they've been to 4 conference finals in 7 years. Would you keep Jaylen Brown? Yeah, I would, but I'm not the one paying the bill. They went way over. Let's take money out of it right now. I know. It's hard. That's easy then. No, that's easy. Okay. If it's not a money thing, it's a no-brainer. Okay. But like Celtics are in the tax. They were in the tax last year. If they sign him, they're going to be deep into the tax. Like the Warriors are paying like $8 for every dollar they spend because they've been in the tax for 8 straight years. That's a problem in the NBA. Yeah. But do you agree that they don't complement each other? They basically are similar types of players. But the league now, Dan, is a defensive versatility league and an offensive versatility. It's a wing-driven league. Now, you might be right. Like LeBron and AD, there's a big and a wing. Jokic and Murray, Butler, and Adebayo. You're right about that. But I think anybody in the NBA would take 2 versatile wings that could defend and rebound, and they can handle and run pick and roll. So in this day and age, I wish they played better together. But I'm not saying like they've had a lot of success and they can continue to have success. But they don't handle the ball well, Brian. Only when their spacing as a team is bad. And I think, Dan, instead of looking at it like they don't handle the ball well, I think they try to do too much at times. Tatum had the bad ankle. Jaylen Brown thought, I have to do more. And sometimes against Miami, you don't want to try to do more. You want to try to do less. You want to take one dribble and move it and eventually wear them out. And they did it for 3 games to get back in the series. But this particular style of play always comes back to bite them when they're not making shots. Talking to Brian Scalabrine, the Boston Celtics analyst. Joe Mazzulla's job safe? I would say I'll give you a 65, 70% safe. I think there's a lot of things with the fact that he got thrusted into this. Like I heard there might be a lot of guys leaving to go with Ime Udoka, who hasn't hired really that many assistant coaches down in Houston. So they might get a new staff. They might have some guys some former players and then some former head coaches. I think, to be honest with you, Dan, to give them a fair shot, you've got to build a staff that and I think these guys were great, but they lost David Stoudemire halfway through the season. Will Hardy, they lost from last year. Ime Udoka, they lost from last year. David Stoudemire, they lost this year. I just think you got to put a great veteran staff around a first-year coach.
Yeah, I agree. You got to have that guy who has the experience. And, I thought what Spoelstra did, I don't, when we get into out-coached, I think that there are times where he was far more tactical. Spoelstra is very underrated still, which is kind of amazing. I think he's a Hall of Fame head coach. But it felt like he was making the right moves for a team that shouldn't have won this Eastern Conference Finals.
No. I mean, you can make an argument, Dan, that they shouldn't even have been here. But, I think he coaches the guys hard. Now, this is the thing that's really interesting about Spoelstra. All we hear nowadays, players league, players league, players league, players dictate this, players dictate that. You can't coach them too hard. Like, that's not what you want to do with your superstar player, except for Eric Spoelstra, because he has backing from Pat Riley. So I give him all the credit in the world because I think he's a brilliant coach. And I also give him all the credit in the world because I grew up where coaches yelled at us all the time. Like, that's just the generation that I played in. So I think that he has a huge advantage knowing that he could get into guys and they might bark back, but he barks back. And it's never, oh my God, he lost the locker room. No one ever says Eric Spoelstra lost the locker room or he pushes them too hard. But Eric Spoelstra will also say, what we do ain't for everybody. And it just works for this particular group.
If I said you could have Jimmy Butler or Jason Tatum.
I'm taking Tatum, yeah. I love Jimmy Butler, though. I do love Jimmy, but I love how much he's a gamer, but you go with a guy that has the talent.
What was it like right before tip-off?
Oh, my gosh. I've been in that building a lot. I think the fact that they came back from down 0-3 made the biggest difference. The crowd was loaded. They were ready. Paul Pierce was getting them hyped up. They respond to the old Celtics more than any place I've been in other places. You go to these other places, they show the guy, he waves and everyone, gives a little bit of a cheer, man. The crowd was amazing. But you know what? It was amazing in Game 5 against Philly. They had a dud. It was amazing in Game 5 against Atlanta. It was a dud. Yeah. It was amazing last year against the Golden State Warriors in Game 6. It was a dud. A lot of times, this group, for whatever reason, and I'm not going to get into the generational thing or the personality thing, but when the crowd is unbelievable, a lot of times this group has swung and missed.
I don't understand this logic. You're of the new age. You're shooting threes, and you're getting down by double digits, so you continue to shoot threes, and you have no chance of coming back. Is there any logic to getting a 2 or going to the hoop, maybe getting a foul on somebody? Help me understand a team that goes 9 for 42, and that's your offensive game plan.
Yeah, you know what? I've had conversations with Joe Mazzulla about it, and by the way, he's not that the way that he's abrasive with the media. He's not that way, and just outside of that. But I've had conversations about it, and I really believe, like, when the Celtics drive into the teeth of the defense and get threes, they're different threes. But a lot of times they settle for that one pass shot. They want to take the first shot. That's what they say. If the shot's open, we want to take it. So you can't. I think basketball is more art than science. I think it's more like there's if me and you were playing together, Dan, and I threw it to you and you threw it back to me and I drove and I kicked it to you, I feel like you have a better chance of making that shot because you've got involved into the game. But, that's not their philosophy. That's the way they want to play. They think that the threes will eventually all balance out. But in the playoffs, you can get down 0-3, you can come back, and then you can lose a Game 7, by, double digits and never come back from it because relying on that three.
Well, that's why the Nuggets stand out. The Nuggets will make an extra pass.
Yes, they will.
If you watch them play, they're going to always make one more pass. And not many teams do that. So you're saying that, yes. And I think, well, here they are in the NBA Finals. Yeah. You need to do that because you might have a good shot when I can get a great shot by somebody. And if you're trusting your team and everybody gets involved, that's why Butler usually gets everybody involved and then he takes over later in the game. Joker gets everybody involved and then he takes over usually later in the game. And I think that's the tribute to a great team player understanding you get going, I'll get going, and then we'll win this thing.
No, Dan, no question about it. Even last year, the Golden State Warriors passed the ball so much more last year than they did this year. Like this year, we saw Jordan Poole, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson dribbling around looking for their own shot. Like, I don't understand it's why the NBA doesn't adapt more towards ball movement. Ball movement is the key. The defenses are so sophisticated. Guys are so good. They know tendencies. One thing you can't guard against is that ball movement. And not just passing the ball around the perimeter, getting to the teeth of the defense, drawing people, kicking it out, and then what you said, extra pass. Who doesn't love playing basketball like that? So I think the teams that pass the best in the playoffs are the teams that are in the finals. And I thought last year, the teams that played the best ball movement, I would think Miami. Miami last year was better at moving the ball than the Celtics were last year, but the Celtics defense was better. But typically the team that moves the basketball the most is a team that's going to end up going to the finals and have a tremendous amount of success.
Did you ever go as Larry Bird for Halloween?
Nah. I went as a Kurt Rambis one time. That was good.
Okay. All right. All you need is the glasses and the Laker jersey.
Yeah, and he taped them. He had that tape. I had to tape them. I don't know if he broke them, why he had tape there, but I taped them. So I did that. I had a wig and everything. It was a great look.
Hey, good to talk to you. Enjoy the offseason. Thanks for joining us.
Got it, Dan. See ya.
That's Brian Scalabrine, the White Mamba, Celtics analyst, NBC Sports Boston.